All right, so Meta. They want to know more than just what you had for breakfast, apparently. They've jumped into the AI game big time
Yeah.
with their Llama 4 series. And look, in a world where every tech company is promising, AI that can practically write your grocery list for you, what's the real deal with this one?
Right.
What's the story behind this Llama 4? And
Huh.
what should we, what should we be thinking about with this?
Yeah, good question.
So first off, this Llama 4, it's not just one thing, right? They've got like a whole little family of these models.
The whole menu.
Yeah, we've got the Llama 4 Scout.
Okay.
We've got the Maverick. And then they went full, they went big with the Behemoth.
The behemoth, yeah.
So let's start with the Scout.
Okay.
This is the one that's all about efficiency. They're saying it can run on, get this, a single NVIDIA H100 GPU.
Wow.
That's in the world of AI, that's like, I don't know, bragging about how little sleep you need. Like, is that even possible?
right.
But it also has this 10 million token context window. Oh, wow.
Which, for those of us who aren't, AI engineers, that's a lot of information it can handle at once.
It is, yeah.
Apparently, this puts it ahead of some of Google's offerings like Gemma 3 and Mistral 3.1 in the benchmark tests, at least.
Interesting.
I always kind of wonder about those benchmark tests, though.
Yeah.
Like, how objective are they really?
Hmm.
What even makes a good benchmark for AI? I mean, it's such a rapidly developing field.
Definitely.
But anyway, the Scout seems to be, going for that sort of nimble, efficient angle.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, to be able to run something that complex on a single GPU, it's not just a cool tech demo, right? It means that AI like this could become way more accessible.
Right.
If you don't need a whole server farm to run it, that opens up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
What do you think? Could this lead to like a more decentralized AI development scene? Oh, that's a great question. I mean, it could be, right? It could be that we're not just reliant on these like huge tech companies with tons of resources to make the next big AI breakthrough.
Exactly.
All right, so moving on, we've got the Llama 4 Maverick.
Okay, the Maverick.
This one, the name itself kind of tells you, they're going for a little bit more of a rebellious, like trying to shake things up kind of vibe.
Right.
And it's going up against some of the big names like OpenAI's GPT-4o, DeepSeek V3, and things like coding and reasoning tasks.
Okay.
And here's the thing. They're saying it can do all this with fewer active parameters.
Oh, wow. That's a big claim.
Yeah, so for those who, need a little reminder, parameters, those are like the connections that the model learns from. So fewer active parameters, in theory, that means it's finding a more efficient way to do the same things.
Right.
It's like, writing a best-selling novel with like half the words.
Right, right.
If it works, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But what does fewer actually mean here? Like, are we talking about a small tweak, or did they completely rethink how this thing is put together?
That's what I'm wondering.
The details are a little bit fuzzy on that one.
It is a bold claim, though.
It is a bold claim.
I mean, if they can pull that off, it really suggests that, maybe size isn't everything in these models.
Right.
Maybe it's more about clever design,
Yeah.
efficient use of resources.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what kind of, architectural innovations they've come up with.
And then there's the big one, the Llama 4 Behemoth.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the name kind of gives it away. This thing is huge. We're talking 288 billion active parameters, total of 2 trillion parameters in its training.
That's massive.
And their goal is to basically, blow everyone else out of the water, including, GPT 4.5, Claude Sonnet 3.7 on all these STEM benchmarks. Yeah, and it's mind-blowing how big these things are getting. I mean, at what point does just throwing more computing power at the problem stop making a difference?
Right.
Like, is there a point where it's just too much?
That's the question.
I mean, the engineering challenges alone must be crazy.
Yeah.
And, just the sheer amount of energy it takes to train something like that.
I mean, it does make you think, right? Like, where is this all going? Are we just going to keep building bigger and bigger models?
Yeah.
Or is there going to be a shift towards, like you said, more efficient designs, maybe new breakthroughs that let us do more with less?
Yeah.
I mean, the Behemoth definitely represents that kind of just keep scaling up, keep going bigger mentality.
Right.
Which has worked so far, but can't go on forever, can it?
Right.
There have to be limits.
And the interesting thing is, all 3 of these models, the Scout, the Maverick, the Behemoth, they're all going to be integrated into Meta's AI assistant.
Oh, wow.
Which is, across all their platforms.
Well, that's a huge reach.
Yeah, so WhatsApp, Messenger, Instagram, even just on the web.
Billions of users.
We're talking about billions of people potentially interacting with these AI models every single day.
That's incredible.
That's a massive deployment. And it makes you wonder, like, how smooth is that going to be in practice?
Right.
Are people even going to notice?
Are we going to see like a noticeable difference in how we use these apps?
Yeah, are there going to be cool new features?
Or is it just going to be kind of working in the background?
Yeah.
It's an interesting thought.
So let's get a bit more technical.
Yeah.
Talk about how these Llama 4 models are actually built. One of the big things they're highlighting is the mixture of experts, or MOE architecture.
Okay, the MOE.
Basically what that means is instead of having one giant model that does everything, they break it down into these smaller, specialized submodels,
Oh,
or as they call them, experts.
like a team of specialists.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of going to, one general doctor for everything, you go to a heart specialist for your heart, a brain specialist for your brain.
Right, right.
So the idea is that this makes the model more efficient, especially for things like, complex reasoning tasks, math problems, stuff like that.
It makes sense.
But what are these experts?
That's a good question.
Like, are they specialized in different types of knowledge, or are they more focused on specific computational tasks?
Right.
It's a bit of a mystery box, how it actually works on the inside.
Well, the idea with MOE is that, each of these experts is like a little subnetwork within the larger model.
Okay.
And they each specialize in something different.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe one expert is really good at understanding natural language.
Okay.
Another one's great at, crunching numbers.
Okay.
And then there's this kind of traffic cop in the model that figures out which expert to send each task to.
Oh, I see.
So it's about dividing up the work, making things more efficient.
So it's like a project manager. It's
Exactly.
like, all right, you handle the budget, you go and you do the marketing, and you handle, the coding.
Right.
All right. Now, another thing they're talking about is Llama 4's multimodal capabilities.
Multimodal.
Meaning it's not just text that it can handle.
Okay.
It's also video, images, audio.
Oh, wow.
So this is where it starts to get really interesting, right? Because imagine, an AI assistant that can understand like a whole mix of stuff.
Right.
You could ask it to find you a video clip that has a specific song playing in the background while also showing a picture of a cat wearing a hat. Something like that.
Right.
It's crazy. But obviously, to make that actually work, getting a computer to really understand all those different types of information.
That's a huge challenge.
Yeah, it's a massive technical hurdle.
Yeah, it's not just about, processing the different data formats.
Right.
It's about finding a way to make connections between them.
Right.
Like understanding how the text in a caption relates to the image it's describing, or how the music in a video sets the mood.
Right.
That's a really complex problem.
Yeah. So how does Llama 4 actually stack up against its predecessors?
Right, right.
Well, from what we've seen, it seems like there are improvements across the board.
Okay.
Like the Llama 4 Scout with its, super efficiency running on a single GPU, having that big context window, that's definitely a step up.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, like, how does that efficiency actually play out in the real world? Does it make these powerful AI models more accessible to smaller companies, individual developers?
Yeah, I mean, if you can get similar performance with less hardware, that's a game changer, right? It could really democratize access to these technologies.
Then we've got the Maverick, which, they're saying can hold its own against some of the top dogs in coding and reasoning, while also using fewer parameters.
Yeah.
It's all about efficiency. But it would be nice to see some more concrete data to back that up.
Right.
Like, what metrics are they using to measure that performance?
Yeah, I mean, these early announcements, they tend to be a bit high level.
Right.
We'll probably see more detailed benchmarks from researchers as time goes on.
Right.
But yeah, I'd be curious to see the specifics.
And then there's the Behemoth. I mean, just the sheer size of this thing shows you how serious Meta is about pushing the boundaries of AI.
Yeah.
Especially in STEM fields.
Right.
But, is there a limit to how big these models can get? At what point do the costs, both financially and, environmentally, outweigh the benefits?
Right.
It's something to think about.
It's a real concern for sure. I mean, training these massive models takes a huge amount of energy.
Right.
And as they get bigger, that problem just gets worse.
Right.
So we have to ask ourselves, is it sustainable to keep going down this path?
So how does Llama 4 compare to the other big players out there, like Google's Gemini 2.5?
Right.
Honestly, the sources we have they don't really give a direct comparison.
It's early days, I guess.
Yeah.
We haven't seen those head-to-head benchmarks yet.
Right.
But, based on what Meta's saying, it does sound like Llama 4 has some real advantages, especially in terms of efficiency and its multimodal capabilities.
Right.
And, in this field, things move so fast.
It's hard to keep up.
It really is. There's
Yeah.
always something new coming out.
Now, with OpenAI's ChatGPT 4.0, it seems like Llama 4, specifically the Maverick, is pretty comparable in those areas of coding and reasoning.
Okay.
And again, they're pushing that whole efficiency angle.
Right.
Fewer parameters, similar results. It's an interesting strategy.
Yeah.
What do you make of that? Like, do you think this focus on efficiency is going to be the next big thing in AI?
I think it has to be, right?
Right.
I mean, we can't just keep building bigger and bigger models without thinking about the consequences.
Yeah.
So finding ways to do more with less, that's going to be crucial.
And then there's Gork 3. Honestly, this one's kind of a mystery.
Not much information out there.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of info on it.
Yeah.
But, based on what we know about Llama 4, with its new architecture, its performance, it seems like it could be a strong competitor,
Right.
even against these, unknown entities.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why are some companies so secretive about their AI development?
Right.
I mean, what's the advantage of keeping things under wraps?
Well, I guess maybe they want to surprise the competition, or maybe they're worried about, other people copying their ideas.
Right.
Who knows?
It does make you curious, though.
So one last thing to consider is Meta's investment in AI infrastructure. They're pouring a massive amount of money into this.
A huge amount.
Upwards of $65 billion.
That's a statement.
Yeah.
That's a huge bet on the future.
So what do you think? What does that tell you about Meta's plans for AI?
I mean, it's clear that they're going all in.
Right.
They believe that AI is going to be a fundamental part of, everything.
Yeah.
And they want to be a leader in that space.
And they're definitely putting a lot of emphasis on voice interactions.
Yeah. That's a big trend right now, making AI more conversational.
Right. Moving beyond just typing commands.
But that's really hard to do well.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to think about things like accents, background noise, all the nuances of human speech.
Right.
And then there's the challenge of making the AI sound natural.
Yeah.
You don't want it to sound like a robot.
Right.
It has to be engaging, believable.
So it seems like Meta is really trying to position themselves as a major player in the AI world,
They are.
alongside companies like OpenAI, Microsoft, Google.
Yeah.
And they definitely have some advantages, right?
Right.
Their massive user base, the amount of data they have access to.
That's a huge asset.
But, they're also coming from a background of social media and advertising.
Right?
So can they really compete in this, core AI technology space?
It's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the resources, they have the talent, but it's a different game.
It is.
And it'll be interesting to see how they adapt.
So there you have it, our deep dive into Meta's Llama 4 series.
It is a fascinating development.
It's a lot to think about.
It is.
The advancements in AI capabilities, the focus on efficiency, this whole multimodal understanding thing.
It's mind-blowing, really.
It's a lot. And, the question is, where does this all lead?
Yeah, what does the future hold for AI?
And what does it mean for us?
Big questions.
Yeah, big questions. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Leave a like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.